On a cool November morning in 1980, Las Vegas was wide awake. The MGM Grand Hotel, one of the largest resorts on Earth, was already alive with the usual noise of slot machines, breakfast buffets, and tourists lining up for a day of entertainment. But within minutes, that excitement would collapse into the deadliest disaster in the city's history. Flames hidden deep inside the building would crawl upward. Smoke would fill entire floors, and hundreds of people would become trapped. The original MGM Grand was massive, over 2,000 rooms sprawling across an entire city block. It was a symbol of Las Vegas excess. Chandeliers, marble floors, enormous casinos, thousands of guests each night. But behind the glamour, inspectors had warned for years that the building had critical vulnerabilities. Fire marshals flagged missing sprinkler systems in some areas. Electrical systems were outdated. Ventilation shafts ran through the hotel like arteries, perfect channels for smoke to spread. All it needed was a spark. The fire started on the ground floor in a restaurant called The Deli. Inside its walls, a refrigerated pastry case had faulty wiring. For weeks, it had been malfunctioning. Staff complained, but it stayed plugged in. At 7 a.m., a small electrical arc ignited plastic piping beneath the counter. It produced flames, but more importantly, it produced thick black smoke that quickly climbed upward. Because the restaurant had no sprinklers, nothing stopped it. The fire grew silently and rapidly, feeding on plastic, wood, carpeting, and decorative features that lined the casino level. Within minutes, it flashed over, exploding into a full inferno. As flames burst from the deli, they entered the casino floor, a room the size of a football field. The ceiling tiles, decorations, carpets, and adhesives were all highly combustible. Within 6 minutes, the casino's temperature soared beyond 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 538 degrees Celsius. Gambling machines melted. Furniture caught fire instantly. Security footage showed flames sweeping across the room faster than a person could run. Despite all this, no fire alarms sounded for the public. Sprinklers in many parts of the hotel didn't exist, and thick smoke began to travel upward through air shafts, elevator shafts, and ventilation ducts. Firefighters later said it was one of the fastest spreading indoor fires they had ever seen. While the fire devastated the casino level, the upper floors never saw flames. Most victims of the MGM Grand fire never touched fire at all. They suffocated. Smoke rose like a pillar, filling hallways, stairwells, and entire hotel wings. Doors that were supposed to be fireproof didn't seal properly. Elevator shafts acted like chimneys. Ventilation fans, still running after the power failure, sucked toxic gas into guest hallways. People woke up coughing, confused, struggling to breathe. Some opened their doors to find pitch-black hallways filled with smoke so dense that visibility was less than 1 foot. Others never made it out of bed. The toxic cloud was a deadly mix of carbon monoxide, cyanide, and superheated air, enough to cause unconsciousness in seconds. Hotel staff tried to direct guests to the stairwells, but many stairwells were already filled with smoke. Others were unlit, unmarked, or locked from certain floors, a violation that would become central to later lawsuits. Some guests took elevators, not realizing they were the most dangerous option. Elevators carried people directly into smoke-filled lobbies, where they collapsed the moment the doors opened. Others attempted to crawl through hallways, groping along walls, trying to count room numbers in total darkness. Some tied wet towels around their faces. Some broke windows to let in fresh air, only to have the updraft pull more smoke toward them. On the 9th floor, firefighters found a hallway full of guests who collapsed while trying to crawl. Their bodies lay in straight lines, showing they tried to stay low but couldn't outrun the toxic air.
As smoke billowed from the hotel, a crowd formed outside. Guests on the upper floors smashed windows and leaned out, begging for help. Some used bed sheets as makeshift ropes, tying them together and climbing down. Others waved towels, sheets, or clothing to signal firefighters. Helicopters were scrambled and began airlifting people from the roof. But the helicopters couldn't land on all sections, meaning some guests waited in the freezing wind for hours. Firefighters inside described the conditions as total blackout. They crawled along walls, listening for breathing, for knocking, for anything. They found entire hallways of bodies overcome by smoke. Most were discovered near stairwells, where people hoped an exit might be. In total, 85 people died. More than 700 were injured. Almost all deaths occurred from smoke inhalation on the upper floors. It was the third worst hotel fire in U.S. history. Investigations that followed revealed shocking negligence. Sprinklers were missing in major areas because the hotel argued they were too expensive. Smoke dampers in the ventilation system failed. Alarms didn't activate in many floors. Exit doors were locked or poorly marked. Building materials were extremely combustible. Families sued, and MGM eventually paid out more than $100 million in settlements, one of the largest in U.S. history at the time. But beyond lawsuits, the fire changed fire codes across the nation. Nevada, in particular, introduced some of the strictest fire regulations ever written. Sprinklers became mandatory. Ventilation systems had to shut automatically during fires. Exit routes had to be clear, unlocked, and smoke-resistant. The MGM Grand reopened months later, with a new name, new owners, and hundreds of millions spent on safety upgrades. The MGM Grand fire remains a case study in how luxury, profit, and rapid expansion can overshadow basic safety. Experts agree that if sprinklers had been installed in the casino level, the fire might have been contained in 3 minutes. If alarms had worked properly, many guests would have survived. The disaster wasn't inevitable, it was preventable. And that's why it haunts Las Vegas to this day. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.